let's quickly talk Bucks Knicks. The Bucks offense looks great. They are going to score a lot of points this season, Seth. I think just safe to say. They had one of the most ridiculous shooting performances ever in this game. They were 23 of 38 from three.
And that's with missing a fair few in garbage time. I think they were like 18 of 27 at one point. It was a, I mean, we'll talk about this more. I think it was kind of a weird environment. And there's one period in the third quarter where it got pretty loud when they started banging a bunch of threes, and then they kept making a bunch of threes, and New York couldn't kind of keep up. And so the game got out of hand. But yeah, it's, I know we're going to talk about this with respect to the Knicks, but this is sort of almost one of those games where, given the shooting disparity, what do you take from it? Like the Bucks were, 20 of some, not 20 of 31 at one point, and the Knicks were 4 of 19. And like, if that happens in today's NBA, that's, which team won that game, like 95% of the time.
Yeah, no, listen, when you give up, when it's plus 48 at the 3-point line, it's
a wrap.
It's done. Like it's just, and it was just incredible shot making. Like I honestly don't know how else to describe it. Like it was so incredible where it's like, I'm pretty sure I could have went 3 for 4 in that game with that. Like if I just wore a Bucks jersey, I probably would have knocked a few in. Like that's how incredible. Everybody was just legitimately on fire. And this is one of those games that you go, cool. You know what's coming in the next week? Somewhere in the next week is going to be a game where they can't make a single regression. Three. It's going to be like a 4 for 30 night because of that. But it's in that sense. But there's a level. This was just absurd though. Like I don't even really. It took me out of the game. They shot the ball so well. It actually took me out of the game where I was like, all right, I'm good. They're going to make everything.
The shooting covered up for the Bucks defense, which still is just it's a mess in my opinion. But
the Knicks got I was at this game and so I wasn't like watching along with the play-by-play, but I think I counted 7 layups the Knicks got on fast breaks off of Bucks makes, and that's a problem. Now I think that some of that is some of that is the Knicks are the Knicks are sneakily like looking to leak out and do stuff like that. And a couple of them were, at least one was Julius Randle saying, "Hey, I got fouled," and not getting back on defense. And then, being one-on-one with Dame Lillard after the Bucks made a shot. But that is still of a piece with the disorganization of the Bucks defense that we've kind of seen all year, and the shooting like pretty comprehensively covered that up. But this game was like 72-70 at halftime. So they were shooting the ball well in the first half and up 2.
It was they were shooting it well in the first half. They had more. I felt like they had just had a better flow of offense in general. And you're right, there was no separation because of how poor their defense was. And again, that's what I'm watching with the Bucks. Offense will be fine. I felt like they leaned more offensively into the Dame Giannis pick and roll. I thought we got a lot more of those actions and a lot more of those two playing with each other. But that ain't my concern. It's the defense. And that's going to be the massive problem for them. That's the question of, if we're going to talk about them as legitimate contenders, what's their defense going to be like? Because as Seth's saying, you're giving up about 7 layups off of made baskets. I mean, that's awful. That's terrible stuff right there. And that's the thing you got to be concerned about going forward.
Yeah. I almost feel
defense their defense is it's almost it's reminiscent of sort of the late Jazz defense where it's Brooke will figure it out. And in the third quarter, especially when the Bucks started to pull away in this game, he was tremendous. But that's it's how much are you asking? And you're turning guys loose downhill, and on another night maybe that leads to some offensive rebounds and stuff like that. And the other thing is they just foul so much compared to what they used to do.
Yeah, lack of discipline for sure. This game, I almost felt like, sure, the Bucks shot the lights out, and the takeaway from them is about their defense, but the Knicks, to me in this game. I thought this is and Mo, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is sort of a continuation of what we see when they play against high level competition.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those things. When you watch them, I feel like, look, we want New York to be good. It's fun for the league. New York Knicks fans want to tell us how good they are and everything and this and that. But every time they come up, these are measurement games for the Knicks. And anytime they go up against Boston, anytime they go up against Philly, anytime they go up against Milwaukee, this is a measurement game. And every time we see that, they tend to just not measure up. And I think that's the thing is you just feel like, wow, they're much further away than they should be. And again, granted, tonight, freakish shooting night from the Bucks, but they didn't do much in the second half that was impressive. At the same time, like Randall was like had 25 points at 14 to 14 and a half. That was also freakish. Like there's a level of that for them too. And I think, we can kind of trade those off. But I felt like in the second half, they just fall apart. It's their offense doesn't really it comes and goes when they run an actual offense and when they just freelance. And I feel like there's a lot of issues for them.
There was a lot of there was the fast breaking and some bad fouls by the Bucks, but when the Knicks had to play against a half court defense, it was a lot of the same old Julius Randle back down, bang, bang, shoot a step back. And he made them all, which is great, but that's a hard road.
Yeah, and didn't get their role players involved hardly at all in the offense. I mean, Quentin Grimes took one shot in this game, and that's just not a recipe for success. Like you can't have a starter who's just not going to shoot. After the game, he talked about how he's worried about making mistakes. I don't know. I think the Knicks need to shake things up a little bit. And this isn't just about one game. This is sort of the trend for the season for them. But I did think that the game last night was a good demonstration of kind of where this Knicks team is. They're pretty good, but they're not up there in that elite company. And the Bucks aren't, in my opinion, the Bucks aren't in that top tier right now because of their lack of defense. So like Mo just said, it was an opportunity for them to measure up, to make a statement, and they got blown out. So, that's my big takeaway from the Knicks. They're not quite good enough.